Hola, good people, and welcome back to We Are the New Normal. I am Sam. Thank you for coming to see me today. So, on this evening where I'm catching the last little bit of the sun, happy 2020, by the way. Hopefully, this year gives everyone that 2020 vision to see back into the past clearly to make the future what they desire it to be. So, today, just wanted to come with a brief message about something that I think we all can hear a little bit about and improve on, and that is fear. Fear, fear, fear. Some people call it, face everything and run, or fear everything and run, or face everything and rise, or false evidence appearing real. It's something that we all struggle with, and so I looked into it to see, does it serve a purpose? Is there any benefit to fear? So, in my research, just looking into it, first from the most basic description of fear, it's actually our response that stems from our frontal cortex, from our amygdala. And the amygdala is usually referred to as our lizard brain. It is the part of the brain that is the smallest, most, original and primal part of our brains. As we moved from our earliest human form to now, the size of our brain has increased as the need for our brain function has increased. So as we have had the need to do more and think more and use our brains in different ways, it has grown our brain. So our primal, small, original brain is what people usually refer to as our lizard brain. And it is in this area that our fear response begins. So in our frontal cortex, we take in the stimuli through our eyes, our ears, our nose. We can smell, smoke, fire burning. We can smell, an animal approaching. We can hear, someone walking behind us in a dark alley, or we can just clearly see danger ahead of us. So all of these stimuli come in and get processed through our frontal cortex and our amygdala. So, when I think about it originally, prehistoric man, you have to hunt for your food, you have to protect yourself against predators. And so fear served a real purpose back then. It was life or death. If you were on point in responding to the stimuli of fear, it could save your life. But when I think about it nowadays, what is it that we encounter on a regular basis that gives us the need to protect ourselves with the response of fear? There's not too many physical threats that we encounter on an everyday basis that give us the need to engage fear as a form of protection. Okay, if you work in construction, or you have a physically demanding job, or you're driving, things like that, of course it helps you to be aware and it helps to protect you. But outside of that, how does it benefit you? How does fear help anyone? What is it? What purpose does it serve? What is it useful for nowadays? So let's look at briefly what happens to the body when you are in fear. When you are in fear, like I said, you get the stimuli coming in. Your amygdala sends out signals to different parts of your body to respond. And one of the parts of the body that responds first is your adrenal glands. And your adrenal gland will pump out chemicals that help you to respond in the need for fight or flight. So that would be adrenaline, that would be cortisol, that'd be epinephrine. All of those stimulating chemicals would be released upon the body receiving the first indication that it needs to be fearful. But when your body does this, it's cool because it's like, oh, okay, you're ready. Oh, okay. And then your body relaxes. But if your body is in this state of fear constantly, if you are constantly bombarded with cortisol and stress hormones and things that prepare your body to fight or run and then never get used, what happens? I can speak from experience. When I was gripped with stress, my body responded in the same way. Lots of cortisol and adrenaline pumped into my body. And unless I did some sort of physical exercise to dissipate those chemicals, it was actually painful to be stored into my body. Those chemicals that were released, that basically were released for no reason, got no use. They just sat in my muscles and it ached and it hurt. So in order to relieve that pain, I had to actually do physical activity to burn off that adrenaline and other chemicals that were emitted during my high stress times. So not only will it be painful for your muscles, but when your body engages the adrenal glands and the other organs that need to prepare your body, muscles, for fight or flight, your body decides to send the blood and the oxygen to the important players of the game at the time. It's not your mind, it's not your brain, it's your hands, arms, and legs. So from the middle of your body, all blood and oxygen that is used normally to function all of your organs and, everything else, keep your brain functioning, allow you to think properly, think clearly, all of the blood and oxygen is now being dispersed to your arms, legs, hands, and feet because you are preparing for fight or flight. So in addition to not really being able to think quite well, it's also taking blood from your digestive center, your stomach, your colon, your small intestines. It is draining all oxygen and blood from those areas as well. And one of the major things that happens is if that is engaged on a regular basis and that area of your body is depleted of oxygen and blood on a regular basis, it affects your immune system. Your immune system then believes that it has a problem. It kicks in at the wrong times, and unfortunately, it kicks in and it starts to attack itself. And that is why you start to see there's so many people nowadays that are suffering from autoimmune disease. And that's exactly what an autoimmune disease is. It is your body responding to itself as if there was a foreign body in it, and so therefore it's attacking its own cells. Quite confused, because it is under a stressful situation that is not really happening in physicality, but more of a mental and emotional stress, but your body can only respond to it in a physical way. So this constant stress and this constant fear has overwhelming detrimental health effects. So I still have yet to see how fear so far is beneficial in our everyday life today. All right, so let's see. How does it hinder you? All right, so let's look at fear on an everyday real terms. If we look at it in real terms, what does it look like in your real life? Of course, if you have a speaking engagement or things like that and you're nervous and you're fearing embarrassing yourself, of course everyone can identify with that type of fear. Fear of coming out of your comfort zones, fear of trying new things. All of those are very understandable fears. But one way that fear manifests itself in your life that a lot of people may not even realize is how your negative thoughts, how your fearful thoughts manifest themselves outside of you actually protecting yourself. And what do I mean? Let's say, for example, let's say you're in a relationship and you've been cheated on before, or you've been left before, and you have this underlying fear of abandonment or rejection. If you hold on to this ideal of fear, thinking that you are protecting yourself, what you are in essence doing is you are ensuring that outcome. If you fear that you're going to be cheated on, let's say, for example, and you have that fear in the back of your mind all of the time, what happens? You don't realize that it causes you to look at that person differently. It causes you to be a little paranoid, a little skeptical, a little, sneaky. You take your actions to make sure that you're protecting yourself, and you don't realize that all of those little actions may actually be pushing that person away. They feel like you don't trust them. They caught you sneaking around, or they caught you snooping to see if there was anything that you could find, and then that person decides, well, you know what, I don't want to be with someone like that, so they leave. So you say to yourself, see, I needed to protect myself because this is what was going to happen. But in essence, what you did was you ensured that outcome. Fear outside of protecting you from physical danger serves no beneficial purpose. It serves no beneficial purpose. And one of the biggest things about fear, to kind of make you understand how useless it is that you never know the outcome. You don't know the outcome. And you protecting yourself with fear, quote unquote, protecting yourself with fear, is you trying to anticipate what the outcome is going to be, and therefore taking action or feeling a certain way, hoping that you protect yourself. But usually, how many times do things ever really work out the way that we expect them to, right? So you are fearing something that you do not even know is going to happen. And unfortunately, when you hold those feelings of fear, it controls your actions, and therefore you pretty much ensure that what you were fearing is actually going to happen. So what's the use of fear? What is it getting you? How is it helping you? It just really, really doesn't. It takes up energy, takes up time, makes you think about things that you could be spending your time thinking more positively about. It really, in the end, serves no purpose. So, the gem I want to drop on you today is just a story that I watched several times, and it was Will Smith talking about fear. And he was talking about the day that he decided he wanted to go skydiving. And he was talking about how at first, when he talked to his friends, they're like, let's go skydiving. It's like, yeah, let's all go. Like, yeah, we're going to do it. And everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. And, you get hyped up for a little while, and then it starts to set in that you're really going to jump out of a plane, right? So it starts to hit you, and you're just like, holy shit balls, I agreed to jump out of a plane. So you start to worry about it, and you start to think about the what ifs, and what if, and oh my gosh, and everything, and you start to worry about it. Your stomach's upset, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you're no longer excited about it. Your friends call you to talk about it, and you're like, yeah, you lost your whole vigor for it and everything. So long story short, you get to the day, and you get up in the plane, and the whole time, let's say on the way and everything, you're nervous, your stomach's in butterflies, and it's in knots, and you're feeling like crap. And then you finally get there, and it's that moment where you're standing on the edge, and your toes are, out on the great unknown, and you're the back half of your feet is the only thing that's on solid anything, and you're about to jump. Now, in that moment, it's more realistic to be fearful. But you don't have time to be fearful. In that moment, he says, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to push you on 3, and he pushes you on 2. And you're out there, and you're floating, and you're falling, and it ends up being the best experience of your life. And when you think back, you're like, I wasted all of that time being fearful for what? Not just because it ended up being a good experience, but think about it. If you were going to skydive on Friday, and you waited, and Wednesday you tortured yourself, Thursday you tortured yourself, you tortured yourself for no reason. And in the moment where you needed to be fearful, where you're standing right on the edge, you didn't even have time to be fearful. It was 1, 2, and you were over the edge. So fear will prevent you from doing things. Fear will make you doubt yourself. Fear will keep you stagnant. And the one thing that Will learned after that was that everything great that you want is on the other side of fear. Let that melt on your mind. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear. That is the only thing stopping you. Your own thoughts, your own not wanting to be uncomfortable, not wanting to be embarrassed, not wanting to look like you don't know, whatever it is that you fear. That is what is preventing you from taking the next step and moving to the next level. And it serves absolutely no purpose. Right? So think about it. Let's all get brave. And being brave and being courageous doesn't mean that you have no fear. It means that you have fear and you push through it anyway. So let's all try to be brave in 2020 and take the steps that we neglected to take so many times just simply out of fear. Tell fear where it can go, right? All right. So, good people, my son is gone. But thank you for coming to see your girl today. I hope you had a wonderful start to your week, this first probably full work week since we've all come back from our 2020 New Year's Eve shenanigans. So I hope that 2019 taught you something that you can put into use in 2020, and that this year is a totally different year for you in a good way. Strive to do those things that we constantly put off due to fear. You might amaze yourself. All right? So, have a wonderful Monday. Have an awesome rest of the week. Make sure you come back and see me. Like, share, subscribe. If this video or any other video on the channel has helped you or you think it could help anyone else, and by all means, if you enjoy this content and you feel so inclined, you may leave me a donation. There is a donation button at the top that says donate if you appreciate. If it is not at the top of your banner, go in the about section and click the donation button, and any amount will be wonderfully appreciated. If not, keep coming to see your girl, and everything I have is yours for free 99. All right? So thanks once again, everybody, for coming to see me. And remember, you are good people. Have a good life.